Hi, thanks for joining us for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. I'm Chris Cooper. There are many plant societies and garden clubs. We'll talk about what they do and if joining one would help make you a better gardener. Also, squash are tasty and a great addition to any garden. That's just ahead on the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South.
Production funding for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South is provided by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to the Family Plot. I'm Chris Cooper. Joining me today is Susie Askew. Miss Susie is the president of the Memphis Hort Society, and Walter Battle is here. Walter Battle is a UT County Director in Haywood County. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Happy to be here.
All right, Miss Susie, let's talk about the benefits of plant societies, right? Because there are many plant societies here in Shelby County and a lot of garden clubs as well.
Right. There's an umbrella organization called the Memphis Horticultural Society that's been around since about 1980. And that group sort of covers everything. Their mission is to bring programming to the Mid-South area on gardening. Lecture series is what it amounts to, and there's no obligation other than paying your dues or paying each time you attend a lecture. It's the first Tuesday of every month, and each month the lecture changes. But below that are all the different plant societies where you concentrate on one type plant, and they go from hydrangea to hosta, African violet, orchid. You can almost name a plant group, and there's a group of people that get together and study just that one plant. Ferns, for instance.
Which is pretty impressive when you think about that.
So they meet every month or every few months also on a regular basis. Okay. And then you have garden clubs, and garden clubs are probably the most misunderstood of the group. I've been in the garden club as long as I've been in the Hort Society. They're two affiliations. One is National Garden Clubs, which is the biggest gardening organization in the world. Wow. They actually have international affiliates. And in that National Garden Clubs, there are programming such as flower arranging, gardening, environmental and conservation groups, and also landscape design critics. So they have program schools that they offer in their membership. And they're also very much concerned with scholarship and the next generation. And then there's Garden Club of America, which has two affiliates in Memphis, and they too have programming that concerns gardening, flower arranging, conservation, scholarship. They're having a flower show next month. The National Garden Clubs is having a Deep South meeting here next Monday, and they're having a flower show too. So most people think about them as flower show groups, but they actually have a broad interest in gardening.
And many of them, I'm sure, have speakers as well.
They do. And a lot of people think you have to, it's hard to get in. It's not. You just have to find the right fit. You have to, I'm in a club that meets at night, and I've been in it since 1980. Wow. It's a small group. It's 12 women, because that's about how many you can fit in your living room or cook for. So, but we don't have outside speakers. We just take a topic and study it for the whole year. Last year we did trees, and we learned 4 new trees every month. So each club has a different bend according to what they're interested in. And a lot of them are looking for members and need new members to resupply, because we're an aging group. We also have garden clubs that have men in them, which is a population we should now consider. And so explore the garden club world. It's a nice simple, easy study, but it's also a friendship you develop, just like in Master Gardeners. You learn the basics, and you also make good friends. And that's sort of what all of us are in gardening about.
That's right. That's right. Now tell me this, how do you go about choosing, though, one of these societies or garden clubs to actually be in? Well,
I suggest with the Memphis Horticultural Society you attend a few meetings. On that first Tuesday of the month, the topic changes. You're there for 1 hour, from 7 to 8 is the lecture, and you listen to nationally known speakers from all over the country that we bring in on various subjects. We just had Bree Arthur, who is a young horticulturalist, who taught us things that I didn't know were possible in gardening. She gardens in her landscape, in her foundation planting. She plants tomatoes in her hydrangeas to grow up them, and so she had a wonderful presentation about gardening and foodscaping.
Okay.
But next month we have the head of the Birmingham Botanic Garden talking about growing their native plant society down there and their native plant conference, because next fall we're going to sponsor a native plant conference.
Okay.
So we're going to learn how they do theirs so well and what we might incorporate in ours.
Okay. Native plants, you know, big popular subject these days, right?
Isn't it though? It's those plants, they're not necessarily easier to grow, but they were here once in abundance and we're losing them. And when we lose those, we lose our population of pollinators, and we also sort of lose our identity as a sense of place.
That's another way to look at that.
Yeah.
Lose your identity. Okay. Now, how do we go about, you think, to attract, you know, some of the younger generation into these plant societies and garden clubs?
Well, they need to feel a part of it, and then we need to have topics that they're interested in. In January, we had 10 young horticulturalists, gardeners that were on a panel discussion, and their interests are really aligned with ours in a lot of ways. They like to know more about native plants, and they're interested in foodscaping. And those are two topics we are too. Their time is very valuable, and they want to come out for a quality program.
Sure.
And so we've got to make sure what we're offering them is worth the time they take off to attend.
Okay.
And we also need to listen to them about what they're interested in and get them involved with the program in itself. We need them as officers, we need them on committees. Their involvement is vital for us to keep going.
Wow, important stuff. So if you're in the Hosta Society, Hydrangea Society,
I'm in both those too.
And you're in both of those, I know, as well. Do you actually become experts though?
I don't think so. I think you garner a little bit every time you attend. You get a different take on it. I would never be able to learn all the botanical names.
Oh,
and
I'm
the
with you there.
hostas are just,
I'm with you.
They're just coming on so fast I can't keep up with them. But what you learn to do is, like, I specialize now in miniature hostas.
Okay.
I only grow the little ones, and I grow them in containers, and that's manageable because I'm thinking in my next stage of life, I may be in an apartment and I can take them with me. I can grow them on a patio if I have them in a container.
Okay.
So with hydrangeas, I just think they're beautiful, and they're a great design plant, but I'm interested in those and how you make space with them and how you use them to the best of their attributes.
Okay. Now you mentioned briefly the Master Gardeners. Walter knows a little bit about that, of course I do. So what about being a Master Gardener? How do you feel about that?
I think it's really important for the people that are interested in learning to get a basic course in everything. And Master Gardeners gives you the base and lets you, after you've finished the course, you then realize, well, my interest is in this or that, and you can follow that interest. But it's a great introduction to the world of gardening, and if you've been gardening as long as I have and were to take the course, then you find out all the things you've forgotten or didn't know to begin with. So it's a great place to start or to go back and refresh.
Great endorsement for the Master Gardener program. Thank you, Ms. Susie. We appreciate that good information, and we do hope that the younger generation comes in and be a part of a lot of these plant societies as well, and garden clubs too.
Thank you.
So thank you. There are a number of gardening events going on in the next couple of weeks. Here are just a few that might interest you. All right, Walter, let's talk a little bit about squash. And I see you have some on the table for us to look at, right?
Oh, yes. Of course, everybody knows the yellow squash.
Right.
I mean, it's been with us for a long, long time. And basically, these yellow squash come basically in two different cultivars, I guess, if you want to use that word. You have what we call the summer crookneck, and also you have the yellow summer straight neck. And as you can see, the difference is that this is obviously, straight, and this has a little bit curve. Now, these used to really, the breeders have kind of bred the curve out, because think about it, in a store, they would break and all of that. It would be easy to break them. So really the crook neck is kind of getting straight, as you can see. So I guess somewhere some plant breeder has crossed these into these, and they're kind of getting that result as well.
Oh, these plant breeders, huh?
They're coming up with something all the time. And then, of course, we have our zucchini squash. You have these green zucchini, and you have a black zucchini, which gets very, 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 very dark green. Now, one thing I would like to share tell people about squash is this. You need to pick your squash when they are probably about 5 inches like this. Because if you do not pick this plant when it's like this, come back 2 days later, and this thing is probably easily a foot long. And, therefore it'll be tough, and no one will want to use it. And I think they make zucchini bread with it when it gets to that point. Or you can feed it to the hogs if you got some hogs. Hey, hogs love squash. Trust me on that. I like squash also. And then there's another squash that we see a lot in the stores called a little white squash, the little patty pan squash. It's kind of round. And some of them are kind of shaped a little bit like a sunflower, with the little ridges around it. And they're fun to grow also. They grow well here in our climate.
Okay. Now, what about the winter squash?
Yes, there are 2 different types. Obviously, today we was talking about the summer varieties. But yes, you do have the winter squash, which would be your acorn squash, your spaghetti squash, your butternut squash, and I'm sure there's some others. And those tend to grow well. We plant them more in the fall of the season, is when, those tend to get planted to be harvested in the fall. But they are very delicious as well. Okay. Yes.
So what type of squash grows best for us in West Tennessee?
Well, pretty much the yellow squash, the yellow crookneck, the yellow straight neck, the zucchini squash grow well here in our climate. Also, the patty pan squash grows well. And those winter squashes I just mentioned, they grow all right in our climate as well.
Yeah, but if you're going to grow them, you're going to need what, Miss Susie? Space.
Yes, you need space.
Right. So what about that?
Okay. Well, basically, for squash, I like to have about a 4 foot apart on the rows, because they will put out and just spread all over the place. You have to remember they are a member of the cucurbit family, which include pumpkins and watermelons and cantaloupes. So these things love to get out and put out vines.
Yes.
That's what they love to do. And I also plant them about 2 feet apart in planting. So you have, 4 feet wide as far as your row length, and then 2 feet apart per plant. And you usually can do okay with them that way.
All right. Then when should they be planted? Okay.
I like to plant them basically around from about May 1 throughout June. They'll be fine. The soils are good and warm to plant them. Now, obviously, you can plant them a little earlier if you use transplants. You can get them out there a little earlier maybe. And if you want to cover them up with, buckets and things like that, just in case we have some kind of late frost event or something like that. But basically, you can plant them all the way up through June easily, June 30th easily.
Okay. Now, we always talk about crop rotation, right, in our vegetable garden. So. Yes. Which of the cucurbits, specifically the squash, follow in that crop rotation?
Well, you really don't want to follow a cucurbit crop with another cucurbit crop, because those diseases, if there's ever a family that will be attacked by the same diseases and insects, it's the cucurbit family. So if you had watermelons in the spot, you wouldn't want to put squash there this year. But you would want to plant your squash probably in a place where you may have had corn last year, where maybe you had your green beans last year. You might want to put it there where you had your sweet potatoes last year. You would just want to put squash in those areas. Okay. And you'll be fine.
All right. Well, since you mentioned it, what about the major insect pests and diseases?
Oh, man. Squash. Now, I will tell you, squash has its enemies.
Oh, yes.
The cucumber beetle, the squash bug, the vine borer, the squash
Which is the one we hear about a lot.
Yes, that I would probably call that the #1 pest of squash. And what you see there is one day your squash vines will just be beautiful and gorgeous. And then all of a sudden you come back the next day and they just like wilted.
Yeah, just
down
collapse.
to the ground.
Right.
Yes, and that's just where the squash borer has gotten in there and he's just bored all into that base of that plant and disrupted all those, the nutrients and stuff going up, and the plant dies. Now, another pest would be also aphids. And the reason that aphids are a big problem with your squash plants is because they carry that mosaic virus. And so if you see your squash vines begin to look like what they call that zodiac or whatever, look real groovy. Hey, the problem you have there is really you have the mosaic virus is what you have, and there's not much you can do. It will even make the squash turn those colors as well, the fruit of the plant itself. So you have to really control your aphids to control that disease. And another big disease that they will get powdery mildew, and usually your chlorothalonil products will clean that up and take care of it.
But if the virus is there, it's not too much you can do about that virus, right?
There's not much you can do about the virus. Just unfortunately, just pretty much pull them up and hey, better luck next time.
Wow.
But you have to control. That's why you have to control the aphids throughout your garden and throughout your landscape.
Right. Because
the aphid can be coming from somewhere else and transmitting that virus. To that squash.
So you wouldn't even eat that squash if it, of course, had a virus, would you?
Oh yes, I would
You would eat it?
Oh yeah, I would eat that. It would just be a psychedelic type squash that you have there. Probably be pretty in the skillet.
But it actually does look good when it has those little colors to them, right?
Yes.
All right. So look, how long though is that? Is the growing season for your squash?
Well, really, about 6 weeks. Once they start producing, and a key to really having a good, productive squash season, growing season, is you really need to harvest them when they're like, again, 3 or 4 inches. You want to just constantly pick them, and they'll put on those new blooms, and the pollinators will be taking care of business, and you'll just have a pretty good supply of squash. And let me tell you, folks, it don't take much squash to grow a lot. I mean, they're heavy producers if they're in the right areas.
Right. So what? Just a couple of plants, you think? Be enough?
Easily. Yeah. I may say 4, maybe 4.
Okay.
And also, if you do not pick them whenever they're small, they'll end up becoming those big squash, and that just makes that plant spend all that energy trying to keep up that big fruit.
Right.
So that's kind of knocking off time on your harvest as well.
Right. All right, Walter, we can tell you like squash.
Oh yes, I love it. Hey, you can fry it or whatever, or boil it, whatever. I'll eat it.
All right. Well, appreciate getting the information about squash.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I want to show you a technique for hostas called a Ross sizing. Many hostas only want to produce one plant each year, and they get bigger and bigger. But to make them double in size, you really want to get pups on them. So I'm going to show you how to do that. When the pip first comes up in the spring, take a razor blade or a sharp knife and come straight down on the pip and cut halfway down till you get, there's a basal plate just under there. You'll feel it's a little bit hard, and cut through it. And then make another one the other way. So you've made an X or a cross right in the top of it, okay? Then by splitting that basal plate, you'll get a pup to come off of each one of them. You'll get 4, and then you can divide those and move them if you want to, or just let it be a bigger hosta.
All right, this is our Q&A session. Miss Susie, you help us out, all right? Here's our first viewer email, which has a picture. My sister received this plant when her husband passed recently. She loves plants, however. This plant had no tag, and we have no idea what it is or how to care for it. Can it be planted outdoors? And this is from Miss Joy. So, Miss Susie, what do we think that is?
Well, that plant is called China Doll, and it's a tropical plant, and it's grown for its foliage. It's got beautiful leaves, shiny, and so it would need to be treated as a house plant.
Okay.
It would need to be cared for just like you would any house plant, repotted when it's 2-pot bound, put in indirect light but good light, and watered when it needs it with the reserve, and it also, we forget on houseplants, we need to fertilize them.
Yeah.
A good balanced fertilizer. In this case, because it's grown for its foliage,
Right.
it would need a particular foliage balanced fertilizer. And she should be able to keep it for years, but you can't just leave it and water it and expect it to be flourishing. It needs to be cared for.
Okay. How often should you fertilize, you think?
I use a half solution, a real weak solution, so I can fertilize every week. When and it depends on if it's a foliage-grown plant or if it's a flowering plant. The other thing, and a simple thing to do, is turn it every time you water it, so it keeps looking round rather than flat.
That's something to think about. All right. I hadn't mentioned that before. Okay, but definitely indoor.
Indoor.
Tropical. I've seen it a lot in the florist trade, of course. But it's a beautiful plant, you know, the glossy green leaves.
It's a nice memorial plant too, because you can keep it alive for a long time.
Okay. All right, but indirect, like we want folks to know that, indirect. Right. Okay. So there you have it, Miss Joyce, China doll. How about that beautiful, beautiful plant? All right, here's our next via email. I have common Bermuda grass. When is the best time to scalp Bermuda grass? And how much of the existing grass do you recommend be removed? And this is from Richard over in Collierville. So he has Bermuda grass. When's the best time to scalp? How do you feel about scalping Bermuda grass?
Yes, you know, most turf grass people will tell you never to scalp it.
All right.
But there are people who do it.
Okay.
And obviously they do it with athletic fields sometimes because it will force it to knit. Okay. It'll make it, you know, have that tight knit. So obviously on the athletic field, you will want that. But I was always told you never take off more than a third of the grass, of the plant.
Right.
And that's just kind of the rule that I always use in my own yard and also at the office. Just never take off more, you know, over a third.
Right.
That's just kind of the rule that I kind of go with.
All right, so I know a couple of guys that actually will scalp. Okay. They are at the beginning of the growing season. Okay, and this is pretty much, you know, in April, the first couple of weeks in April. They do it to remove the dead grass. Actually makes a little sense, right? Because, the sun will warm that soil up a little quicker, which helps that Bermuda green up quicker, okay? You don't have to do that. I don't do it in my own lawn. I have a Bermuda lawn. It seems to do fine every year without being scapped. But if you have to do it, again, of course, you know, the first couple of weeks in April to remove the dead grass.
And I probably will fertilize it also to make it kick up and go head on and go.
Right.
You know, after being scalped.
Right.
You know.
And of course, you know, this would be right at the, you know, the green up transition period.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, the soil gets warmed up, the Bermuda jumps up.
Yes.
It's going to jump up anyway. It's Bermuda.
yes, that's what it does.
It's coming anyway. Yes. All right. So there you have it, Mr. Richard. All right. Here's our next via email. Should forsythia be pruned of dead branches or just tidied up and fertilized? And this is from Miss Elizabeth, Byhalia, Mississippi. So, Miss Susie, can we just prune out the dead branches, just tidy it up just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Right. Prune out the dead branches every year. That's just being good to the plant. Then you need to decide what pruning shape you want. Do you want the natural with the long weeping fronds that are really beautiful, or some people want it rounded and more controlled? And it's your choice, and you are in control of the pruners.
That's right.
So I've seen it used as hedges. I've seen a hole cut out so you could make a passageway through them. They were so thickly grown, and then I've seen them as we call meatballs across the landscape.
Right.
So that's just a personal preference, but be good to it by taking out the dead branches.
Taking out the dead branches.
They don't need those.
Okay. Anything that's crossing, maybe rubbing?
Crossing, rubbing, diseased. Even though I don't think it has too many enemies, it's pretty healthy.
I don't think so as well. Yeah, I don't think so. And then since you mentioned pruning, when is the best time to prune forsythia?
I would prune it after it blooms.
After, okay.
But it's such a tough plant, you can just about prune it anytime you want to.
Okay.
You'll be removing the buds and the future bloom on it at some point, so you'll have to make that decision. But it's such a harbinger of spring. It just signals to us all, it's coming, it'll be here soon.
That's right, that's right.
And it's a really tough, good plant.
Right, and it's pretty much one of the first blooming shrubs that you see, you know, in the early spring, you know, for the most part. or late winter in Shelby County. It just depends.
Yeah.
All right, Walt, anything to add to that?
No, that's pretty much it. I know I have it at my own house, and I chose just to let it go in its natural way, and it is beautiful.
I'm a flower arranger, so I love those arches, and I cut those and bring them in to put in the vases.
Oh, that's good to see something else you could do for Cynthia or Miss Elizabeth. So there you have it. All right, so Miss Susie, Walter, we're out of time. That was fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Remember, we love to hear from you. Send us an email or letter. The email address is familyplot@wkno.org, and the mailing address is Family Plot, 7151 Cherry Farms Road, Cordova, Tennessee 38016. Or you can go online to familyplotgarden.com. That's all we have time for today. If you would like more information on squash or help finding a local plant society, visit familyplotgarden.com. I'm Chris Cooper. Be sure to join us next week for the Family Plot, Gardening in the Mid-South. Be safe.